that the last thing we can
American against another American.
We've been successful in
President Obama and Mitt Romney have been harsh critics of each other when it comes to foreign policy. But anyone who watched the final presidential debate learned that there is little difference between the two men on most foreign policy issues. Start with Iran. There were a few minor differences, but no major ones. Both men say they would do whatever is necessary to keep Iran from a nuclear weapon, and both express support for the sort of crippling sanctions the president has already put in place. And that's just for starters. On Syria, neither candidate wants the U.S. military involved in the conflict. On Israel, both men say that the U.S. would stand with the country if it was attacked. Both support pulling U.S. troops from Afghanistan by the end of 2014, and both support the continued use of drone strikes on terror suspects. Underneath it all, however, there's one major difference between the two men. Romney has vowed to spend 4% of gross domestic product on the military. Now, assuming the economy doesn't tank, that would be a major expansion of the military budget. One estimate found that it would mean more than $2 trillion in additional defense spending over 10 years. And it's not just how much he wants to spend, it's how he wants to spend it. Mr. Obama got a lot of attention for a quip he made about Romney's support for expanding the Navy during the debate.
You mentioned the Navy, for example, and that we have fewer ships than we did in 1916. Well, Governor, we also have fewer horses and bayonets because the nature of our military's changed. We have these things called aircraft carriers where planes land on them. We have these ships that go underwater, nuclear submarines.
The use of bayonets is what got people's attention, but the underlying sentiment is what's more important. Romney is more of a foreign policy traditionalist. He has many foreign policy advisors with ties to the Bush administration, and he described Russia as America's top geopolitical foe. His desire to build more naval ships, like his desire to spend more on defense, is tied to a belief in the importance of a robust U.S. military presence around the world. The president wants the military to focus more on non-traditional threats like Al-Qaeda, and no longer wants the United States to serve as the world's policeman. He noted on Monday that Americans spend more on the military than the next 10 countries combined, which you only say if you think we're carrying too large of a burden. It can be difficult to tease out differences between these two candidates when it comes to individual issues. But when it comes to the larger question of the U.S. role in the world, there's a philosophical chasm. And that is what folks should be looking at when they assess these candidates based on foreign policy. I'm Brian Montopoli for CBSNews.com, and thanks for watching Due Diligence.